Okay, hello my favorite people. Today we're going to be checking out the life of Freddie Mercury, the one and only. As you guys know, a week ago we reacted to the Queen performance of Bohemian Rhapsody at Live Air 1985. I still don't really know the significance of that concert, but I decided before we get into that I need to know more about Freddie Mercury himself. So let's check out this video called The Heartbreaking Life of Freddie Mercury. Let's see, subscribe if you're new here, like the video, and DM me any video requests you have over on Instagram. Here we go.
The light that burns twice as bright burns half as long. Welcome to Watch.
He's such a hot man, though.
We'll be discussing the heartbreaking life of Freddie Mercury. Come along as we take a closer look at the story of this legendary singer, musician, and performer, including the many challenges and hardships he weathered before.
Okay, we really got to talk about the significance then of Live Aid, because it's even in like a... That's not really Freddie Mercury, that's a standby, I guess. This documentary, it's even included there, so it's really important, clearly.
Being taken too soon.
I'll carry on as long as I write music and people want to buy it. That's important to me, but I mean, that's not the be-all and the end-all. I mean, I just, they're very sort of, to me, happiness is the most important thing.
If you like what you're hearing, be sure to check out the full song.
Get out of here with that freaking promo, bud. Get to Freddie.
There are few musicians that have made a more significant and lasting impression than Freddie Mercury. With his incredible range, unconventionally operatic vocal style, and refusal to subscribe to norms of masculinity, Freddie Mercury was a man who defied convention at every turn.
When you face an audience of 300,000
he got tits.
people like I saw you in Rio, do you get intimidated by the size of that crowd?
No, the bigger the better.
Oh.
In everything.
Oh, he's so cute! His teeth, too!
He left an enduring musical legacy that continues to resonate with listeners today. Freddie Mercury died far too young, but even before his fatal diagnosis, the Bohemian Rhapsody singer had already faced more than his fair share of challenges. Mercury struggled in ways that few can imagine.
Everybody was taking drugs, so the combination...
It seems like that's a common denominator for most musicians. It's always drugs. Why?
Of all those things, and the massive success, where, you know, you start to think you can do anything, and lead any kind of life without any consequences.
For all his exuberance, wild partying, and apparent joie de vivre, Mercury also had demons and inner struggles that he contended with his entire life.
Your life is going to be very difficult.
Mercury was born on September 5th, 1946, in the British Protectorate of Zanzibar. His parents, Bomi and Gerbil Sara, named him for...
Wait, he was born in the 40s? How? He'd be old now. Zanzibar, 1946. Oh my god.
British Protectorate of Zanzibar. His parents, Bomi and Gerbil Sara, named him Farouk, a popular Parsis name in keeping with their ethno-religious background, which means happy and fortunate.
The name we selected for him is Farouk. That was his birth name. That was the name at that time, very fashionable in the Parsis, and I just wanted to name him that.
At age 7, he began taking piano lessons, which would prove important in his musical development.
Freddie used to come running after breakfast, then the radio was on, and then when the music was finished, he went to the stool again and played that tune.
A legend,
and
dude.
was getting some music lessons. He's got an ear for music.
Mercury was sent to boarding school in India when he was 8, and though it might be hard to believe, he was incredibly shy at the time. Making matters worse was his substantial overbite, which made him the target of...
Oh, yeah. Okay, I was wondering, there was something going on with the teeth, but it was adorable when he was an adult. But I see. Being a kid is hard.
Much mockery among his peers, and earned him the nickname...
But guess what, bitch? He's Freddie Mercury. He died a legend. Where are the rest of the kids? Talk about his overbite. Nowhere to be seen.
Lucky.
I was born with 4 additional incisors. More space in my mouth means more range.
True.
Consider your offer.
Though this would have caused many children to retreat inwards, young Farouk Bulsara flourished in the boarding school setting. By the age of 12, he had already started his first band with schoolmates.
I'm practicing a lot and I really like every minute of it. But I have to tell you about something else. Bruce Murray had the idea to form a band and asked me if I wanted to be in it. We We will call ourselves the Hectics.
It was also around this time that he began going by Freddie and distinguished himself as a performer. Peers described him as being at once shy and a show-off depending on the situation. This is a duality that would follow him throughout his life. Outwardly exuberant, but inwardly insecure.
Freddie went around calling people darling. We were sort of terribly shocked, you know, to something was not done and not spoken about in public. And we were all terribly shocked. I mean, I didn't hear a boy saying darling to another boy.
Ah, okay, I think they're talking about his sexuality now. But I didn't know he was Middle Eastern. I thought he was English. Like the Beatles or something.
You didn't say it to a girl in public in those days, damn it.
Though Mercury's childhood was a mostly happy one, his life was upended in 1964 when his family was forced to flee Zanzibar out of fear for their safety when a violent revolution broke out.
It was very frightening. It was really frightening. And everybody was rushing around and didn't know what to do exactly, you know. And because we had young children, we had to decide to leave the country.
It would ultimately go on to claim the lives of many Indian and Arab people, with some estimates placing the death toll as high as 20,000. Thankfully, the Bulsara family got out in time and relocated to the town of Feltham in Middlesex, England.
If Freddie had the choice,
that's why I
he
thought he was
would
English.
have been born at the age of about 21 in Feltham.
Although tragedy brought the Bulsara family to England, the move did provide Freddie with opportunities he would have been unlikely to receive back home.
Do you think him moving to England made his accent a little more English? Because even when he was speaking early in the video, he didn't sound very Indian.
Here he was able to study art in West London's Isleworth Polytechnic, followed by graphic design at Ealing Art College. All the while, he continued to develop his music, both during his studies and after graduation.
Leaving in the spring of '66 with an A grade, A-level under his belt.
Mercury was involved in a number of projects, but it was when he joined the band Smile, which would later evolve into Queen, that his life would change forever.
I thought the Hectics were turning into Queen, but Smile, that's cool. But also he knew like he wanted to be a musician then from the time he was a child. So can you imagine really like knowing you want to do something from so young and then growing up to be like one of the best at it? Like the biggest name in that entire, whatever it was you wanted to do. That's crazy.
In the band Smile, which would later evolve into Queen, that his life would change forever.
Well, then you'll need someone new.
Any ideas?
How genius.
What about me? Not with those teeth, mate.
The story of
Freaking
Queen's
rude.
success has been well documented.
This guy down here is kind of hot. I like his bone structure. But y'all were fiending after these guys back in the day. I guess long hair was a thing. Whatever.
Elsewhere. So we're going to focus more specifically on Freddie's
hair.
personal life. As the band rose from up-and-comers to living rock gods, Freddie became an icon. His on-stage flamboyance was generally accepted despite gender norms of the time, but did lead to much speculation about his sexuality and, by extension, homophobia.
Honestly, I think him not being so afraid of just being himself and having to fit into this masculine norm is what made people like him even more. Like the fact that he could just be himself, and whether you say it's feminine, flamboyant, whatever, it was intriguing and fun and cool. Like, I hate gender norms. They're so stupid. Y'all didn't... Homophobia? He didn't even come out and say he was gay or anything. Just because he was different, people didn't like him. Get over yourself, bud.
It's visual, it's got to be, So visual theatrics will always be used. All the
His entire persona was art.
Used it in one way or other.
Decades after his passing, people are still trying to put Mercury's sexuality in a box. Was
Who cares?
he gay? Was he bisexual?
Who cares?
The reality is, the public confusion over his sexual identity is a reflection of the singer's own lack of clarity.
I think I'm bisexual.
Are you okay?
Mercury...
What? I hope that wasn't actual, a scene from real life. What? She heard what she wanted to hear, let's just say that.
Mercury never gave the press a straight answer when asked about his sexuality, letting his actions speak for him. Nonetheless, Freddie's behavior did result in backlash from fans, as his style increasingly reflected...
Hold on, though. If your fans are coming at you because you're being yourself, they're not your fan. Backlash from fans, those aren't fans. And those aren't the fans that you should want, let's be honest. And she's saying that they're questioning his sexuality, but didn't he die from AIDS? And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like there's only one way you could get AIDS, right? So I think that confirms speculation. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Did the fashion of the 80s gay culture, American listeners began to turn against the band.
What do you think? Gayer? Not this, darling, the house.
Darling?
Some fans went as far as to throw razors on stage, encouraging him to shave his gay mustache, because he never identified himself as explicitly...
Wait, so a mustache is like a gay symbol? It's facial hair, you weirdos!
Encouraging him to shave his gay mustache. Because he never identified himself as explicitly gay, it was as if a portion of the fans sought to sanitize his image.
We got more publicity from him growing a moustache than he would have done if he'd committed suicide, I think.
But given the rampant homophobia of the time, it's little wonder that, while indulging in all manner of sexual activity and being an overtly sexual being, Mercury never really explicitly came out as a gay man.
You know, it's very... Okay, two thoughts. A big chunk of this video so far has been about his sexuality, and I think that Freddie Mercury was and is so much more than just his sexuality. Like, I feel like that's not doing him and his career justice. And at the same time, like, you guys see who you stand, right? You see who you're a fan of, but yet you have an issue with that. So you can see that he's talented, but yet you're still not really accepting him because of his flamboyance or whatever. But all of that ties together into him as an artist. So I don't really understand it. I wasn't even alive back in the day whenever he was, you know, booming. But now, looking from like a 2020 lens, I'm like, who cares? Who cares what he was doing behind closed doors? If he just makes good music, he's a good person, he can perform. That's all that should matter if you're a fan of him. And if you care about anything else, you're not a fan. Period.
In your song, Life is Real, what do you mean by the line, love is a roulette wheel? Are you implying that the more partners you have, the more chances you have of contracting something?
What?
I hope that's not a real scene either that actually happened, because that reporter's a fucking dumbass.
His life, Mercury had a number of notable relationships. His earliest and perhaps most enduring love was Mary Austin. They lived together for many years and even got engaged.
His
As
mouth!
Mercury's interest in men became more apparent, their relationship evolved into a platonic one.
I don't have that many people to turn to. The only one, if you're talking about it, is Mary, who's, long... she's been a girlfriend of mine for a long time, and even though we're not together right now, I sort of refer to her a lot.
Freddie took many lovers over the years, but few of them are more than a footnote in his story. By 1975, however, he met radio DJ Paul Prenter at a bar, and the latter became a big part of Freddie's life, involving himself with the rock star both personally and as his manager.
Business and pleasure! But that never ends well, so let's keep watching.
Subversive influence in the
all the
worst
suspenders.
possible sense.
I don't see Queen touring when they're in the 60s. I won't be with them if they are. I hope...
Who's this? Before I speak out of turn. I thought it was a hater. I was about to say, fuck you. Paul Prenter? Who are you?
But I'm sleeping.
What Paul Prenter was to Freddie was his partner in crime.
They were lovers and, for years, seemed to have behaved as life
drag
partners.
show.
Prenter's professional influence over Freddie, however, seemingly drove a wedge between the singer and the band.
You are pissing off. This is a band discussion.
Prenter and Mercury's relationship, while largely obscured in mystery, was by all accounts a volatile and seemingly toxic one.
Aye.
Before passing of AIDS-related illness himself, Prenter sold a story outing Freddie to the tabloids.
Yeah, it's fuck Mr. Prenter. You should never out someone, especially if you had a personal connection to them. That's so messed up. Okay, that just confirms though. Why is there speculation about Freddie's sexuality? Hello?
He doesn't care about you. Paul doesn't care about you.
Clearly. Miss Mary was right. So sad.
You don't belong here, Freddie. Come home.
Around the same time that Prenter and Mercury parted ways, Freddie began a relationship with Jimmy Hutton, with whom he lived for the remaining years of his life. Though he had lovers and friends, Mercury's life was one characterized first and foremost by an intense and pervasive sense of loneliness. In a handful of candid interviews, the singer revealed that he almost always felt alone.
Surely comes a time when you want to share your life with someone.
Yes, but nobody wants to share their life with me.
By his own admission, he was
Oh, come on! I'm not even saying he's Freddie Mercury just because he's a celebrity, but he seems like a gem of a person. Very kind, nice. You know, obviously you can't make a judgment off of a few clips from a video, but I don't think he would go out of his way to harm someone or be mean or whatever, malicious. That's so sad. That's really just so sad. It makes me sad.
To falling in love and falling hard. And because he so often got his heart broken, he learned to close himself off, holding back when he felt drawn to someone new.
Before he leaves boarding school, the 14-year-old Freddie jots in a friend's autograph book, "Modern paintings are like women. You can't enjoy them if you try to understand them."
All the lovers he took and messy relationships he had, including the complex one with Mary Austin, were attempts to satisfy his...
Is Mary Austin still alive?
Relationships he had, including the complex one with Mary Austin, were attempts to satisfy his greatest unrealized desire, to be in a beautiful relationship with someone.
The more I open up, the more I get hurt. So, I mean, you know, so basically what happens is, you know, I'm just riddled with scars, and I just don't want any more.
By his own admission, however, his self-destructiveness made him difficult to love, and so for much of his life, Freddie suffered greatly, desperately seeking love while burdened with the knowledge that he drove it away. Because of his iconic status as a party animal and his flamboyant...
I'm sorry, I know we're in like a sad part of the video, but just the fashion. The fashion sense, I'm assuming this is like the 80s or 70s, but they were dripping. Queen was dripping back in the day. Fly as hell.
Nature. People often tend to gloss over his substance abuse.
Oh.
But according to Peter Freestone, who worked for Mercury for over a decade, getting the star his cocaine was a regular part of his job. Though Freestone doesn't frame it as an addiction, cocaine seemed to be a staple in Freddie's life. Part of his falling out with Michael Jackson...
What? Two icons. We stand. Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson. Honestly, if I could go back for like a day, I would go back to this era. I wouldn't want to live it. I'd rather live now, but I would love to have experienced that.
Allegedly stemmed from
just this
using
entireness.
the drug in Jackson's home. You generally can't party for days as Mercury did without it damaging your behavior.
I've been hideous. I know that, and I deserve your fury. I've been conceited, selfish.
When not performing or otherwise entertaining, he was known to be quite shy and...
But I was just thinking, like, being in a band is like being in not a frat house, but like a club. And the fact that this club was able to write "We Will Rock You," "We Are the Champion," "Bohemian Rhapsody," and countless others, it's just like, dang, y'all were amazing.
Drugs were likely an essential tool in helping him come out of his shell. The final chapter in Freddie Mercury's life is the darkest and most well-known.
I've got it. Got what? AIDS.
According to partner Jimmy Hutton, Mercury was diagnosed with HIV in 1987, but the singer didn't publicly acknowledge it until 1991, just 24 hours before his death.
Man.
Up until the very end, however, even as his health deteriorated, Mercury continued to pursue his great passion, music.
He performed while he had...
Guitarist Brian May towards the end of his life, he told his bandmate, quote, "Write me more, write me stuff. I want to just sing this and do it, and when I'm gone, you can finish it off."
Worst of all, if you bore me with your sympathy, that's just seconds wasted. Seconds that could be used making music, which is all I want to do at the time I have left.
The great showman eventually became bedridden, lost most of his foot, and began to lose his eyesight. With various friends visiting him around the clock in the last few weeks of his life, Freddie Mercury chose to embrace his fate by foregoing any further treatment. He died on November 24th, 1991.
You think you're going to get to heaven?
No, I don't want to.
What?
No, hell is much better. Look at the interesting people that you're going to meet down there.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. Also, not to go off topic, this is giving me very much Lil Nas X Montero vibes. If you know all the drama that's going on with that, it's literally the exact same thing.
You're going to be there too, you know.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe.
Come on, Mojo. Come on.
Money to everyone from Jimmy Hutton to his chef and personal driver. All the...
Wait, he left people money?
make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Freddie left large sums of money to everyone from Jimmy Hutton to his chef and personal driver, all the people who made his life a little less lonely. The majority of his fortune, however, he left to Mary Austin, the love of his life and longest-lasting friend.
Oh,
life really had been his work, and I think his joy had been that.
So it seems like he literally only had one person, and that was Mary. But the fact that he really left all his money to his driver, his cook, his personal, you know, people who throughout his career helped him be able to do what he was doing. This is what I was saying. How the heck is he so lonely when he was such a good person?
And I think without it, he wouldn't have been strong enough to face.
To the rest of us, Mercury left an enduring legacy of not only powerful and timeless music, but also his fashion sense, bold personality, and the high bar he set for all performers to follow. Freddie Mercury was one of a kind, and while his life was difficult and tragically short, he continues to inspire countless fans around the world.
I don't regret any of the things I did. I'm just me, you know, just me.
That was nice. Alright, get images before you fucking copyright this video. So, that was The Heartbreaking Life of Freddie Mercury. I didn't know any of this, but I'm glad I know it now. He seemed like a gem. And I feel like now that I know more about him as a person, like, I'll be able to appreciate his artistry and him performing that much more. And it's just really, like, that's so sad that he had to pass away. Man. Not even just because, like, imagine the music that we'd get right now, but also just he was a good person. And the world lost a gem the day he passed away. Freaking AIDS. Man. Anyways. Subscribe. Bye.